Hey everybody, have you considered starting a podcast? We here at Screwball highly recommend Podbean for getting your podcast out to a larger audience. Podbean has given us the ability to easily bring you Screwball each and every week on all of your favorite podcast services. Use the link podbean.com/screwball to sign up and save up to 35% annually. You can also use the link podbean.com/pro/screwball to sign up for a business subscription. Happy podcasting. Hey everybody, welcome back to Screwball, a baseball podcast, your home for everything baseball. I'm your host Mike Lepre, here with my co-host Frank White.
Hey, how's it going?
This is episode 86 of Screwball, and we are still in the midst of the 2021 World Series. So a little bit more of a quick update episode on the status of the World Series, some news around baseball, and where we think the World Series will end up now that we are looking at Game 6 and 7, or possibly Game 7, I should say. So we are going to, before we recap kind of the first 5 games of the World Series, we're going to go into just some news around baseball. There's one kind of big piece of news shaping up for two of the teams really in the league. So as we did the last 2 weeks here or so during the playoffs, I'll let Frank handle the news segment of the show. So we'll see what's been going on around baseball while the World Series has been taking place.
Yeah, a couple. The news has been relatively slow over the last couple weeks, but a couple things have trickled in this week. Pujols said he plans on coming back. His time to retire is not now, he said. He was down in Dominican, playing in the Dominican Winter League, and he had a walk-off infield single yesterday.
Of course.
But his plan is to continue playing. So that's pretty exciting for a guy that's about 150 RBIs away from the record, and about 60 away from, I think, Babe Ruth's, or 50 from second place from Babe Ruth.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty exciting. We have Kyle Seager expected to hit the free agency, as Mariners have kind of, rumors have flown that they ain't going to sign him back, which is kind of expected, but that's kind of been confirmed at this point. We had Jerry Remy for the Boston Red Sox passed away after his battle with, I believe, cancer, but a player in the past and kind of big part of the Red Sox kind of history, kind of their Vin Scully, essentially. He's been with the Red Sox, the voice of the Red Sox for a long time. So that was a tough one for Boston fans and baseball fans.
Sure.
And a couple other things we have here. The Mets GM search continues. They've asked, I think, everybody. I think about in a week or so, they'll be sending me and Mike an email, see if we want the job. They've asked everybody. Everyone's turned it down. No organization letting their guys go there. So that's become kind of a mess at this point. No surprise, the Mets seem to find themselves intertwined with that garbage all the time.
Sure.
And then to two pieces of news that go kind of with the World Series, we have Greinke became the first pitcher to pinch hit in the World Series since 1923. Yeah, of course he got a hit. I think he's 2 for 2 in the playoffs.
Yeah, something like that.
2 for 2 or 2 for 3.
Yeah.
So that's pretty crazy.
Mm-hmm.
He became the first pitcher to not hit ninth in the World Series since, of course, Babe Ruth.
Mm-hmm.
When Babe Ruth hit sixth in the World Series with the Red Sox.
Because, of course, he did.
Because that's what he does. The other piece of news related to the World Series and the teams is Dusty Baker. He is unsigned for next year. And we kind of mentioned it already, but, with the series being 3-2 in Atlanta, is Houston actually waiting for the series to end? Like, we win, he's back. If he loses, see you later. They actually going to do that. It's kind of looking that way.
Yeah.
Which is pretty crazy.
Yep.
But there's some things to look at going forward as some of our news that's kind of been going around baseball. Like I said, it's not a bunch, but just some things to definitely take note of.
Yeah, well, I mean, in the case of Dusty Baker, I mean, I think it would be dumb of the Astros not to bring him back anyway. A guy that really weathered the storm of the Astros cheating scandal and weathered it pretty well, handled the players well. I think that the fans feel a little rejuvenated with a guy like him, and I don't think you could have had anyone step into the role like Dusty did, and I don't know if that garners him another few years or so or what, but I think that World Series appearance, following everything that the organization is going through, to on their own accord, this didn't just happen to them; they did it to themselves. But to have someone do that for them, I think that is pretty commendable. If you're within the organization, I think that you got to give Dusty Baker, his due there. So I think he should come back regardless, but that's probably exactly what's happening. Waiting to see what's going to happen. Obviously, there wouldn't be negotiating during the World Series. It'd be pretty stupid. So we'll see what happens there. Albert Pujols retiring. Not retiring, I mean, makes sense. He's still got value. And if the DH does actually come to the National League next year for the CBA agreements, it makes all the more sense. The guy would be, I think, a great DH to a team at this point. You could have him slotted into the DH role every day, or at least have him in a platoon role.
Against lefties, for sure. He batted 300 this year, 299, I think, against lefties this year.
Yeah, so he's still got a lot of value. He's still got power, and I think he could find a home with a lot of teams, especially with that DH maybe being implemented. The only thing, I don't think you said it, but the only other thing was Bob Melvin being introduced as the new Padres manager, which, that makes a big difference to the Padres, I think. I think that brings a big time difference to that team, and I think it brings a big time change to the A's as well, because the Padres needed leadership like that. They got it, and now the A's are without kind of the guy that I feel like gelled that team together. I think that's a big blow to the A's. I don't know what you're thinking with that.
Bob Melvin's a good manager. Kind of been the face of the A's organization-wise for a while now, but the A's in Oakland are in a terrible spot. The ownership has really almost turned against the fans in hope of MLB helping them to build a stadium in Oakland. It seems to not be the reason, not the case. Fans are upset, owners upset, MLB is upset. So the A's are just in a bad spot, and they're expected to cut payroll even farther, which is why they decided to let Bob Melvin go look for a new job, because he was, worth $4 million or so a year. Whatever exactly it was. So they're trying to save money everywhere. And they have a lot of players. Arbitration numbers are going to go up. Matt Chapman, Matt Olson, Sean Manaea, Chris Bassett. There's a couple of free agents they have too. So, that team's in a really bad spot.
Yeah.
For a team that had a lot of talent. So, expect the A's to kind of be big names in maybe some trade markets.
Yeah.
I can see Matt Chapman and Matt Olson both being traded, because they don't want to pay anything. They're literally cutting everything. So it's going to be kind of a mess over there. And you could blame kind of a little bit of everybody there. The city itself, the organization, the MLB. Not the fans. Can't blame the fans.
No.
Or the players.
Mm-mm.
But you can kind of blame everybody else. So that's a mess over there. It's a shame. It's a good organization. A great fan base. And had a really good team. You could have told me over the last 4 years, the A's, any one of those years could have won the World Series or won the World Series, and I would have been like, yeah, that's about right.
Yeah. Mm.
So we'll see what happens, but definitely not trending in the right direction for the A's.
No, and on the flip side of it, the Padres are in the complete other direction with an up-and-coming team like that. Now you kind of got, in my opinion, one of the best managers in baseball that you could get, who could, in his own way, like I talked about with Dusty Baker, weathering a storm with the Astros in a way. This guy's going to weather a storm where you're the Padres team coming in thinking you got a real shot at winning the NL West, and you don't even make the playoffs. And now you bring in Bob Melvin. You're going to have a new pitching coach. I don't know if they already hired for the pitching coach, but so things are looking good for the Padres just in that regard, and I'm sure they'll make some even minor acquisitions to tweak the team this year. And we'll see where they end up, but a lot to like if you're a San Diego fan. But if you're on the other side of the California team in Oakland, then, obviously there's a lot of question marks and a lot of worries because the A's have been here before where they start trading and cleaning up shop, with some of these guys. So that remains to be seen, but, it can't be good if Bob Melvin's walking out the door, So with that, I don't know if you have any last thoughts on that before we get into the World Series, but it's looking good for the Padres if there's any positive to get out of it,
Yeah, I don't have much else. Padres get a good hire, and let's see if he can kind of steer them in the direction they should be, because they have some of the most talent you're ever going to see.
Sure.
It's a team that should be in the playoffs every year and deep in the playoffs pretty much every year. So we'll see. I'm sure he can get the most out of a lot of those guys.
So to move on to the World Series here, get a little update on that. It is still not over as of recording this. By the time this goes up, if the Braves win Game 6, then the World Series will be over. So with that, obviously, if you haven't been following, the Braves are up 3-2. They split 2 games, 1-1 at Houston, and then came back and won 2 in a row at Atlanta, with the Astros then winning Game 5 to force a Game 6. So the series is going back to Houston. As of recording this, it's a travel day, so we won't see anything until Tuesday. By the time this goes up, we'll either have a World Series winner or an exciting Game 7 to look forward to, where I don't even believe that there is a set pitching matchup in a hypothetical Game 7, where I believe Game 6 is believe Game 6 is Max Fried and Luis Garcia.
I believe it's Luis Garcia, but I don't think they officially announced him yet.
Okay.
I don't think.
Yeah, so just to recap a little bit of what's going on, the series started with a bang in Game 1 with Jorge Soler. It was the first leadoff home run in World Series history or something like that.
Oh, first pitch, I think.
Yeah, so that was obviously pretty cool. I believe the Astros won that game, or did Atlanta won that game?
Atlanta won Game 1.
And then Astros came back and won and salvaged a Game 2 to split at home. And like I said, then Atlanta, on the back of very good pitching, like we kind of predicted coming into the series, took 2 games in a row, almost having a combined no-hitter in one of the games, which would have been obviously historic for a World Series, even if it is a combined no-hitter. So Astros are in trouble. They definitely gained some momentum back with then a rest day to kind of curb the Braves' hot hand they've had at home. I believe that was the first game that the Braves even lost at home this postseason, right?
Yep.
So that kind of, I think the advantage of the off day kind of helps the Astros a little bit because they gained a little momentum back. But I think that the Braves are when they're being up 3-1, I think they're in too good of a position at this point. And if Max Fried puts in a performance that he can, and he has shown in the past during the season, I think that the series could be all but over by the time this episode goes live.
Yeah, Braves continue doing what they've been doing, jumping on teams early. Their pitching has been pretty good. The bullpen's been great. Their hitting has come up with some big hits when they need it. They're running the bases still. They're just kind of continuing what they've been doing all postseason here. The Astros hitting has slumped. Their pitching has pitched okay, but they've been slumping. And that's where they've really been beating teams in the postseason here, is their offense and their defense. And their offense is slumped, so that obviously leaves mediocre pitching, great defense, and not great hitting. Obviously, it's why you get yourself in a hole here. Yeah. But take a wake up the bats. This series is going to go 7, and it can get, the way I always put it is the team who brings it to Game 7 is the team who wins Game 7.
Yeah, it's usually you got the advantage.
So, Game 6 is a big game. Game 3 was not the big ruckus game that we kind of predicted.
No.
Game 4 was a little bit closer. Game 5 yesterday, I think, was more of the big ruckus game.
Mm-hmm. Early
grand slam, and the Astros chipped away. Braves kind of went silent the rest of the game. Had guys on, but just couldn't get them in. Astros really exploded, and it was a high-scoring game. When in Atlanta, up 4-0 in the first inning, you think it's all but over.
Yeah, especially when they're already up 3-1 or 3-1 in the series. So. You like your chances, especially when you haven't lost a game at home in the postseason. Everything was floating the Braves' way in that game, and the Astros fought. So credit to them.
Yeah, and then to go back to Game 4, which was impressive. Braves were kind of down and out. Dansby Swanson steps up, home run, right field. Ties the game up, 2-2, and then Jorge Soler comes in with a pinch hit home run. Yordan Alvarez almost robs, makes a great play, runs on the fence full speed, and takes the lead. Back-to-back home runs. Jorge Soler being the first player ever to hit a leadoff home run and a pinch hit home run in the same World Series.
Yeah, pretty cool.
But that was incredible. It was incredible to see the back-to-back home runs. In an instant, you're the Astros, you're on the offensive. And really, even though it was a 2-1 game, you felt like you're pretty much in control. And then a relief pitcher who's been really good comes in and gives up 2 home runs right off the rip, and you're losing.
Yeah, it's like, whoa.
That was incredible. Late in the game, 7th inning, I believe.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
And all of a sudden, now the Braves bullpen swings into action to get the big guys out there. And obviously, they've been unstoppable this year.
Yeah.
So, all of a sudden, it's like this game's all but over. And it was. Eddie Rosario made a great play that game. Stuck his glove out. Snagged it right at the wall. That was a great game. Game 4 was a very exciting game. And Game 5 was a little bit more offense, but it was also a good game. So Game 4, Game 5, I think is going to be more what we're expecting. in the next 2 games, or the next game, possibly 2 games.
Yeah.
Game 3, I don't think we're going to see another real pitch and duel game like that. Maybe a little low scoring, but I think it's going to be guys on base and just getting out of it.
Yeah.
I think game 4 and game 5 are a little bit closer to what we're going to see in game 6 and possibly game 7. Yeah, it's been a good series. You've seen a little bit of every type of baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Pitching duels, offensive shootouts, heroics, comebacks, great defense, big hits. You've seen stolen bases, great defense. A little bit of everything. Bullpen games, starters going late in the games.
Mm-hmm.
So we've seen a little bit of all today's baseball and some old baseball pop up in the series, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. I think that, like you said, game 3 being 2-0 was the final score of that game.
Yeah.
After a late home run by Darno, I think, kind of gave him a little bit of breathing room. Yeah, you're not going to see anything like that, but the offense for the Astros looks to be primed and ready to go, especially coming back to Houston. Their hitting stats are always better at home for them. Whether you want to attribute that to the trash cans or not, you could. And the Braves' offense has done enough in the series. I don't think that they've necessarily been slumping, but I don't think they've necessarily had their big coming out party yet. I think that the Grand Slam definitely helped them in the last game.
Their big thing you're going to look at is, yes, they're going to Houston. Yes, Houston, which we said, their big disadvantage was going to go to the National League.
Mm-hmm.
Because what do they do with defense? Now they're coming back to home. They have a DH. Atlanta's built for a DH.
Oh, yeah.
Now Soler could be in that lineup. Or however you want to do it.
Yeah, you could somehow Jock Peterson or whatever you want to do there.
Now, Atlanta is an offensive problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right.
I think Atlanta takes it. Game 6, I really do. I think Max Fried has been pitching not great of the last 2-3 starts. But before that, he had 15 in a row that he was dominant. And here's a guy that's just really good. He
Agreed.
just knows the art of pitching. And doesn't seem to get rattled. Kind of has that Oakland A's years ago, Sonny Gray against Justin Verlander in the playoffs.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Where it was like, who's this young guy dealing against Verlander twice on his up-and-coming A's team against this Detroit powerhouse. Max Fried's got that, where it's like, this guy doesn't care. He's just zoned in, ice cold, ready to roll. And then Braves just have these guys in their team that just come up with these hits. A whole team of them.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole team of guys that are like, I mean, this guy could be the hero.
Yep.
Smaller name guy. You're like, how did he just do this? And he did it.
Yeah.
Rosario, Duvall, Darno. You know, we're just seeing guys who are just like, who are these people coming up with these hits? Every team seems to have 1 or 2. The Braves have like 6 of them, which has been kind of impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, you rely on your big bats. Atlanta doesn't have as many big bats. Freddie Freeman, Austin Riley this year. Otherwise it's been these unsung heroes, Jock Peterson. Guys who are like this guy.
Yeah.
You got that feel like this guy could just be that hero, that Travis Ishikawa.
Yeah.
You were like, he hasn't done much, but he's gonna have that 1 or 2 hits. So you're like, this guy, and he changes his whole life, his career in a franchise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the Braves, like you said, have a team of that. While the Astros at this point really have a team of proven postseason guys. You got Altuve's second on the postseason home run list now with 23 or something like that. Correa has proven his heroics in the postseason. While Bregman has in the past been a hero, he's been slow. Actually, I think the last few postseasons. So the Astros are like the team here that's like, we'll just try to avoid these few guys and you might be all right. Where the Braves, it could really come from any bat at any time. And you just don't know when, where, how. Yeah. Look at a guy like Eddie Rosario who has just been one of
the best hitters I've ever seen in the postseason right now.
Yeah,
he's unstoppable.
It's insane.
It's incredible. But the Braves, they just got something about them that just doesn't seem like they're going to go away. I mean, and then you get the Astros, like you said, they have veteran. They've been there. Dusty Baker's been there. Mm-hmm. Everybody's been there. When you look, they have the record after Game 5. 4 players: Altuve, Correa, Gurriel, and Bregman have the most games played as a 4P or a four-person whatever group.
Yeah, like a
most
squad.
Postseason games played together. They passed Jeter and Tino and O'Neill and those guys.
Mm.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, they've been here before.
Well, the Braves have guys I don't know. Freeman's got some playoff games.
Yeah.
Darno's been to the World Series.
Jock Peterson.
Jack Peterson.
Yeah, it's kind of.
That's it.
Yeah, it's not as many.
Yeah. So even Snedeker, he's been around coaching, but not really the head coach, especially, and then been the manager of a World Series team. It's exciting. It's like I said, you got a little bit of every type of baseball, a little bit of every type of storyline, and a little bit of two teams, powerhouse versus comeback kids, or
The
supposed
underdogs.
to be powerhouse, who were beaten into the ground, and then Undertaker risen up again, stand up, and all of a sudden they're like, here we are, with 7 different band-aids, and it's all working.
Yeah.
You're missing just so many guys. You feel like somebody that got better.
Yeah, it's weird. It's kind of like the phoenix rising from the ashes. You know what I mean? It's like it's weird.
Yeah. So I think Game 6. I think that the Braves take Game 6. I think you're looking at 5-4, 5-3. Braves take it. Braves score 2 early.
As they usually do.
Astros score a run in the second, and then it goes away. 6th, 7th inning comes in. Astros bullpen's not as strong there. Atlanta piles another 1 or 2 on. Astros maybe get 1 home run late. Correa maybe last ditch, Houston Astro heroic, hits a solo home run, cuts it down to 5-4. Atlanta's bullpen just goes nuts. Matzik and the fellas, Will Smith, he just closes it out, and there's a party in Atlanta.
Yep.
And Dusty's got to have to wait again.
Yeah, unfortunately
maybe
for him.
another organization to try it off with.
Yeah.
And the Mets would be a great one.
Oh
the
my
Mets
God.
Are smart.
Yeah, that's a franchise that needs him.
Yeah. Needs him more than anything in the world.
Yeah.
So, but Game 6, I think is going to be a good one.
Yeah. I think the Braves take it. I think that the mountain to climb for the Astros is pretty high. It's a pretty steep ask. And I think that the Braves season maybe, because like you said, Game 6, whoever forces Game 7 usually has that edge. I think it all kind of rests on the shoulders of Max Fried's performance, because if he puts in a performance like he has, it's not going to be good for them. But if he puts in a performance like he did coming down the wire, like post All-Star game Max Fried, I think that you like your chances of getting a ring.
Yep.
Really.
Max Fried could go 8 innings.
Yeah.
Will he? No. Well, he could, but I don't think he will. I think if Max Fried gives them 5 innings, the Royals approach.
Mm-hmm.
He gives us 5, maybe 6 innings, this game's over.
Yeah, I think
That's how
you're
good
right.
the Braves bullpen's been. And the late heroics. Well, Houston's bullpen's kind of been, their pitching altogether has not been that great.
No. Hasn't
So-
been bad, but it hasn't been, it's,
Not this series hasn't been bad for sure. Earlier in the postseason, it was bad. Boston,
yeah.
I mean, record-breaking bad. Game 6 is really lining up to be memorable. It's got that feel like Game 6 could be the one that's, each series has that game. What do you remember from the series? It has, Game 3, Game 4, Game 1, Game 2, Game 7, 2011, Game 6, what do you remember in that series? You don't remember Game 5 or even 7 that much. It was Game 6.
right.
That's what we might get here. Where Game 6 might be the one where you really remember it. Something's going to happen. There's a big play. There's a home run, a robbed home run, diving in the crowd, throwing a guy out to play at the end of the game. Something. Pitching. Max Fried goes 8 innings. Something.
Yeah, Game 6s sometimes tend to be the more memorable games. Like look at 2011 with David Freese. You have the 1986 Miracle Mets. With Bill Buckner as a Game 6. You don't remember much from Game 7. I believe it was Carlton Fisk, Game 6 of that World Series, the '75 World Series. The list
Kobe
goes
Puckett,
on.
I think was Game 6 too.
Yeah, we'll see you tomorrow night. So, not that Game 7 isn't memorable in its own right, but Game 6 sometimes has that penultimate feel to it, that like the do or die feel, just like a Game 7, and sometimes Game 6 does provide the drama. So, like you said, it could be the memorable game of the series. We'll see.
And we haven't seen an extra inning game in this World Series.
That's true.
Usually you do see at least one. So we'll see. And that would play into Atlanta's hands, even though Astros are home. One swing can win it. Atlanta's bullpen is better. So that would play. I think would play more in the Braves' hands. They could take it to extra innings.
I agree.
Just outlast them.
Yeah, I agree. You have a guy like
especially Atlanta has. Houston had to play yesterday, like Game 7.
Right,
All
right.
hands on deck. They got to play Game 6. Obviously, all hands on deck. And then now you still got to have a small think of Game 7. Well, Atlanta can be like, hey, we didn't have to do that, so we don't have to stress everybody out.
Right.
Look at, Graveman pitched 38 pitches yesterday.
Yeah.
So they had to go all out. So that would play into effect too.
Right. Right.
And then Houston's starting pitching not being great early in the postseason, while Atlanta was able to eat innings and save that bullpen and save those guys.
Yeah. And the Astros starting pitching hasn't been quite up to the task like the Braves. The Braves bullpen has. Not that they've been bad. Again, they've actually, overall the Astros pitching has been pretty good. But, that bullpen's got to be taxed for a bullpen that's not really... I mean, granted, the Braves bullpen really coming in wasn't anything either. But the Astros bullpen really hasn't been anything up to this point at all. So.
And the Braves figured out a 6, 7, 8, 9. Or 7, 8, 9. They got the recipe. And they're going to it. And it has been working.
Right.
Remarkably. Matzik. Minter. Will Smith. These Chris Martin. These guys have been... It's been working. It's been working. Which is... it's textbook.
Yeah, and it's like you said, Max Fried gives you 5 as long as it's not 5 innings, 6 earned or something like that. You like your shot,
Yeah, so it's going to be... it's exactly what you want out of a World Series. And there's no, I don't think there's really much of a favorite.
Nah.
In Game 6, or if there is a Game 7, I don't know if there's really much of a favorite. We're like, this team really kind of feel like they got to take it. You don't have that right now.
Right. It could go either way. If you're the Astros, you still like your chances because you just got to win 2 at home. Which
And you're better.
Yeah.
Break it down on paper right now, the Astros are better.
That's true.
I don't know. That's just how it is. But paper, for any Mets fans out there, only get you in the headlines.
Yeah.
We'll see. It's been a great series. A lot of historic stuff.
Yeah.
Pinch hit home runs and back-to-back home runs and pitchers getting hits and pinch hitting, and that was actually the last time you're going to see a pitcher hit.
Yep. Well, you never say never, but I mean,
I think that's all. But if we ever get a CBA, it might be the last time you ever see anyone hit.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think it's all but written in stone there. So it's remarkable. We're seeing really some great baseball here, leading into possibly a non-fun time for baseball.
Yeah.
Some nasty CBA talks, and Oakland has their issues, and Tampa Bay Rays have their issues. So we're dealing. This could be the last little fun here we have before maybe a dark 2 months or so of baseball. So enjoy it.
Agreed.
And it's shaping up to be one of those instant classics.
Agreed. Yeah. So we'll see what happens come when this goes live on Wednesday. Are we looking at one final game of baseball, or when this goes up, is baseball over now?
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Parade scheduled.
Yeah, exactly. And then we just have to look forward to the CBA, which could be a complete nightmare.
Yeah. So, but other than that, going to the last little bit we got here that's a trivia question. And since we seen a pinch hit home run, wanted to go with who was the first player to hit a pinch hit home run in World Series history? And that answer is on October 2nd, 1947. Yankees catcher Yogi Berra pinched hit in the 7th inning against the Brooklyn Dodgers. Ralph Branca hit a solo home run, 1 out in the 7th inning. To be the first pinch hit home run in World Series history for MLB. And that was after 252 World Series games.
Yeah, and to that point, was there even a championship series yet, or was it just best team AL, best team NL World Series?
And he just went, yep.
Yeah.
And this was young Yogi Berra. He wasn't even the full-time catcher then. He pinched hit for the other catcher of the game. I actually don't have his name here. And kind of solidified maybe his spot there with that pinch hit home run. The second being Johnny Mize, who was the second one, October 3rd, 1952. He was the second player to hit a pinch hit home run in the World Series. So I thought that was kind of fitting since we had Horace Soler pinch hit a home run. It was just kind of fitting.
Yeah, who was the first to do it,
Yeah, and it wasn't like, it was, 1904.
Yeah, that was my
High
first.
Pockets Johnson, smacked one over the fence.
Yeah.
The train that was in center field somehow.
Yeah, Ray Schalk did it.
No. Ray Schalk didn't do that. No, I don't think so.
That was my first. When you asked the question, I was like, is it someone I can guess? Like, is it, like you said, like High Pockets Johnson or Two Shoes Larry or whatever?
Yeah.
So thankfully it wasn't them. That's a Yogi Berra. Like, it just sounds like a Yogi Berra stat. Like, yeah, he was the first one.
Yeah, sidearm slinging Sammy or something.
Yeah.
We've had some good names on this podcast.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But no, it wasn't quite front flipping Freddy or something. So, first pinch hit home run in World Series history belongs to Yogi Berra on October 2nd, 1947.
Very cool. Like I said, that's a very Yogi Berra stat. And really, when you think about like a stat like that, like first to do something in a World Series or playoffs, you got to go to the Yankees immediately. Because back in the day, they were just there every year. It seemed like them,
and
Dodgers.
Right against the Brooklyn Dodgers, so.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah.
But no, that's a good trivia question. Thankfully, it didn't go too far back because you could. There's a whole book of trivia I'm sure you could do pre-1900s that no one's ever even heard of some of the guys. So
Yeah.
you could really. Baseball is really a sport where you could just dig into the trivia and the history, and you could
There's
find.
3 ages.
Yeah.
And none of them are the same.
No.
Nor close.
No. Mm-mm.
And we might have a 4th age coming.
That's
new CBA.
I was kind of thinking that kind of an end of an era by the time this podcast goes live, maybe.
Yeah, the fourth era kind of coming up with possibly relocating of teams, adding teams, a new CBA, a new way to style the game, style of players, the way they come through the organization again, different rules, obviously. So we're in maybe an overlay here of eras.
Yeah.
The passing of the torch, kind of. For sports fans, the Jordan to the next guy, and
Right.
baseball, it was Jeter to Trout, that kind of idea of passing. I think we're doing that right now in just the game of baseball in general.
Yeah, and hopefully it's a baseball renaissance and not a baseball.
Dark ages.
Yeah, that's what we don't want.
The dead ball era.
Yeah, no. I don't think it definitely won't be anything like that, but I hope that they can pull some things together, the players and the owners, that bring more life into baseball. I mean, we love baseball anyway, but
because baseball is growing. I think they said it was up 17.8% this World Series.
Yep.
Over the last 2 World Series, I believe.
Which is surprising because it's not 2 teams you immediately, casual fans immediately run to. It's not like a Yankees-Dodgers World Series or a Dodgers-Red Sox World Series or something like that.
You have an enemy, public enemy number 1, versus an organization that has fans that run everywhere.
Oh yeah.
Atlanta Braves have fans everywhere. So, makes a little bit of sense, but the game is growing beyond maybe some regular season stats and standings and people in the crowd this year. We've seen some empty stadiums. Overall, the game is growing, I think. And the 18 to 49 market, I believe, was up 13% this World Series.
See, that's good. You want the young.
That's their general population. And I believe from there was 55 plus or so was up a couple percentage. So the game is maybe back on track, even though some other stats don't look so good. Push comes to shove, playoff baseball's here, and baseball's getting played the right way, or close to the right way, or exciting way. People are going to watch it.
Yep.
You get teams who are just going to sit there and swat at butterflies. Like some other teams we've seen. You're not gonna. It's not exciting. It's not fun. It's like, what am I watching? I can go stare at the wall.
Yeah. No, I agree. I don't like that.
On.
Yeah.
That's what always gets me with the playoff baseball. That's what football on.
Mm-hmm.
And primetime football. And basketball back. And hockey back. And racing. NASCAR with their playoffs. The championships this weekend. The baseball could still be up 17.8% or whatever exactly it was. Which is good. So I think we're in the right spot. I think we just we're going in the right direction in some cases. We're going in the wrong directions in others. But, if you want to have a general curve, we're upward. But we're getting kind of flat line right now because of the CBA.
Right.
The CBA can take it 94.
Yeah.
Where the baseball was dead.
Mm-hmm.
It was left for dead. Until McGuire decided to come up and start mashing balls. We could be in that era. Babe Ruth back, Black Sox scandal, left for dead, and World War I being there, and guys having to kind of be gone, and World War II obviously coming, which no one knew, but baseball kind of left for dead then, and him saving it.
Yep.
So we could be seeing that, or we could be seeing this little flat line right now, and then another growth.
Yeah. It
So,
kind of relies on if the CBA becomes a problem and there's a lockout or not. If there's no problem, then most casual fans won't even know, and the hardcore fans will be in it in the negotiation and see what changes. But casual fans or third party fans that kind of just go in and out of baseball, that like all sports, that just kind of check their team and blah blah blah. They're not going to be as in it. So we shall see where baseball goes from here. It could be a new era, but it's all good stuff, hopefully. And it's good to see that the game is growing, especially on the younger market, because a lot of baseball people in the know worry about baseball's appeal to younger audiences. So the fact that maybe, kids are playing it when they're younger, so they like it when they're 18, 19, 20, and up, that's always a good sign. So gotta like what you see there, and hopefully with the new CBA, you bring more people in, and it just keeps going.
yeah, and with a new CBA, too, that changes, free agency changes. Guys aren't afraid to sign the deals, and they're not worried about the CBA. They're not worried about where they're going to go, where they're going to be locked out at, or where they're going to be striking down at. That changes too. So a CBA deal, pen to paper, I guess you could say, for the next 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years, whatever the CBA deals are, usually longer, could really be another boost to what baseball's trying to get onto. As long as they don't, Manfred it up.
Yeah, well,
Take first base away, or you're not allowed to use a bat. You got to use your hand.
Yeah.
The ball. Something stupid. Because he's always coming up with great ideas.
Sure. Yeah.
We're right here in the World Series. Exciting to see this last game, possibly game 7, which is the greatest words in sports. So, all fighting for we always have a good quote. Our good commissioner gave us a couple years ago. They're fighting for, I believe the word was, that piece of metal, right? So
yeah, it's just a piece of metal.
So that's what they're fighting for.
yeah, just that symbol that means nothing.
No.
And all the hard work and time and effort and money that went in. Nah.
No, just a piece of metal. So that's our commissioner. So as long as he's not involved in the CBA, I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, I agree. But with that, we'll kind of wait and see what happens here. By the time this goes up, we'll have maybe an answer. So there's that, and that's kind of all I was planning on for the episode, just some news and just a general World Series update. So I don't know what else you got as far as final notes, but...
No, that's it. Giants, football-wise, play tonight. Play against that team from Kansas City. Raiders at a bye week this week, and they're the number 1 seed in the AFC West, and they are, I guess, half a game out of the number 1 seed in the whole AFC, so that was a good bye week for the Raiders. Then they play the Fighting Mikes over here, the Giants, next week.
Great.
So, it's your football update. Basketball's going. Hockey's going. Hockey had a little blip the other day with some organizational allegations.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get into that because that's not what we do, but something to read into. NASCAR coming to the championship this weekend.
Yep.
4-man championship. So, that's exciting as well. So, we'll see. We'll see what's going to happen here, but the sports world is kind of buzzing around a little bit of everything. So.
Yeah, gotta love it. Hopefully, we get as much baseball as we can. We get 2 more games instead of just 1, so we'll see. But that's kind of it. So if that's all you got too, I guess we'll wrap it up here.
That's it. World Series Game 6, here we come.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening to this episode. You can catch us on Google Podcasts as well as Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You can listen on our regularly updated YouTube channel as well as our website, screwball.podbean.com. You can follow me on Twitter at RealMikeLepre. You can follow me on Instagram at Mike Lepre.
And you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at FDubs10.
You can follow our official Screwball Twitter at ScrewballPod. You can follow our official Screwball Facebook at ScrewballPod. No E in Screw. And that's it from us, guys. We'll see you next week.
Yep. Take care.